Have you been anticipating a major shift in the global currency landscape? Well, it appears that moment may have arrived. Developments surrounding the Vietnamese Dong are rapidly becoming one of the most discussed financial stories of 2025. Reports are emerging that the Dong may have undergone a significant revaluation, a move that could reshape dynamics for investors, travelers, and global economists alike. For those who have held Vietnamese currency or tracked its performance, this may be the update long awaited. In this report, we'll unpack the latest developments, examine what's being verified, and explain what it could mean for markets and individuals. Stay with us for detailed analysis, verified data, and expert interpretation. Today, financial analysts and currency traders across Asia and beyond are focused on new information circulating from Vietnam. The central discussion centers on a possible adjustment to the official exchange rate of the Vietnamese Dong. The term revaluation has been used frequently, a word that naturally sparks attention, but it's important to dissect the facts before drawing conclusions. According to various credible sources, the Dong's exchange rate has shifted noticeably compared to recent months, raising speculation that Vietnam's monetary authorities could be preparing for a gradual policy transition. The move has ignited intense interest, especially among those anticipating a stronger Dong for years. To understand the magnitude of this development, context is essential. For decades, the Vietnamese Dong has operated under a closely managed monetary framework. The State Bank of Vietnam, the nation's central authority, does not permit the Dong to freely float. Instead, it employs a managed floating exchange rate system, setting a daily reference rate and allowing controlled fluctuations within a designated band. Typically, this band is hovered around 5% in either direction. This structure has ensured currency stability, shielding Vietnam's export-driven economy from abrupt shocks. However, the recent rate adjustment has prompted observers to wonder if Vietnam is cautiously paving the way for a stronger flexible Dong. As of now, the Vietnamese Dong is reportedly trading near 24,000 per US dollar. Yet, multiple market platforms and banking sources suggest that some rates have begun to reflect a marginally stronger valuation. While seemingly minor, such variations often indicate deeper shifts in policy direction. In foreign exchange markets, even slight deviations can signal strategic intent. Some analysts believe Vietnam's central bank may be testing the market's response to gradual appreciation, while others interpret this as a precursor to a broader monetary alignment with the country's expanding economic capacity. The motivation behind Vietnam's potential move toward a stronger currency is rooted in its economic transformation. Over the past decade, the nation has emerged as one of Asia's fastest-growing economies. Global corporations from the US, Japan, and South Korea have invested heavily in Vietnam's manufacturing, electronics, and technology sectors. As exports rise and foreign investment accelerates, natural market forces are exerting upward pressure on the Dong. Economists argue that permitting gradual appreciation would reflect economic reality and reinforce long-term financial credibility, aligning policy with growth fundamentals. However, the other side of the equation warrants caution. A stronger Dong can make Vietnam's exports more expensive for international buyers. A sharp increase in currency value could, therefore, erode competitiveness in key manufacturing sectors. This balancing act explains the government's measured approach, encouraging economic recognition without undermining export advantages. For this reason, sudden or large-scale reevaluations are highly unlikely. Instead, small deliberate adjustments may indicate the start of a longer-term process that unfolds over time, not overnight. Investor sentiment has surged in response to the latest reports. For years, speculation about a potential Vietnamese Dong revaluation has circulated through global investment communities. Many have drawn parallels with other emerging markets that have experienced controlled currency strengthening. Historically, Vietnam's central bank has prioritized stability over volatility, which is why these recent adjustments have attracted heightened attention. For investors holding Dong-denominated assets, even a modest appreciation can translate into meaningful gains, depending on their entry positions and conversion channels. Several underlying economic factors appear to be driving the Dong's current trajectory. Vietnam continues to post robust GDP growth, consistently outperforming many developing peers. The country's appeal as a manufacturing hub alternative to China has led to a surge in foreign direct investment. Inflation remains relatively contained, supporting investor confidence and purchasing power. Collectively, these factors create structural upward pressure on the currency. The challenge for policymakers is to accommodate natural appreciation forces without compromising economic equilibrium. Over the past year, the dong has traded within a narrow corridor against the US dollar. Vietnam's central bank has periodically intervened to maintain rate stability through targeted foreign exchange operations. Analysts note a shift in tone from recent official statements, one emphasizing flexibility and alignment with market realities. Such language often precedes strategic recalibration. With continued economic expansion and increasing foreign reserves, Vietnam appears better positioned than ever to navigate gradual currency liberalization with confidence. Vietnam's foreign exchange reserves now rank among the strongest in Southeast Asia, granting policymakers ample capacity to defend or adjust the dong's value without destabilizing markets. This financial cushion supports growing speculation that the nation is preparing for managed currency reform, potentially a controlled revaluation process unfolding in calibrated stages. It is crucial to differentiate terms. Revaluation signifies strengthening, while devaluation indicates weakening. In this case, all evidence and commentary point toward the former, consistent with strong economic fundamentals. Historically, nations choose to revalue when macroeconomic indicators, such as sustained growth, stable inflation, and rising investor trust, justify it. Vietnam currently meets many of these conditions, fueling optimism that a long-awaited policy shift may be underway. Still, experts caution against expecting dramatic overnight changes. Modern central banks rarely implement large-scale reevaluations due to their potential to shock domestic and global markets. Incremental appreciation through adjusted trading bands remains the more likely course. Looking ahead, 3 key indicators will determine whether the dong continues to strengthen. First, GDP momentum. Steady expansion, at or above 6%, would naturally exert upward pressure. Second, foreign investment inflows. Continued relocation of manufacturing from China to Vietnam brings sustained dollar inflows. Third, global demand. A rebound in trade would reinforce the dong's position. Each factor contributes to the larger narrative of Vietnam's evolving monetary identity. Regional trends will also influence decisions, as policymakers seek equilibrium amid shifting dynamics across Asia. Vietnam's cautious approach reflects a long-term vision. As nearby nations like China, Thailand, and Indonesia adjust their monetary policies, Vietnam must prevent excessive divergence that could undermine its export competitiveness. Gradual appreciation managed through careful calibration ensures progress without disruption. The broader goal remains stability, credibility, and alignment with global market standards rather than short-term speculative gains. Analysts believe these current movements could mark the start of a multi-year revaluation phase, mirroring the evolution of other successful Asian economies. Over time, a measured strengthening of the dong could enhance domestic purchasing power, allowing Vietnamese consumers to access imported goods at lower costs while still supporting export resilience. For the general population, immediate effects may be subtle, slightly improved exchange rates for travelers, or marginally reduced import prices for businesses. Yet symbolically, a firmer currency reflects national confidence and economic maturity. It demonstrates how far Vietnam has progressed since its early development phase toward becoming a globally respected manufacturing and financial center. Still, every policy carries risk. A dong that appreciates too rapidly could reduce export demand, affect employment in key sectors, and alter inflation dynamics. Vietnam's central bank, known for its disciplined oversight, is expected to monitor developments closely. Maintaining moderate inflation and sustainable growth remains a priority. Early indications suggest the bank intends to proceed cautiously, ensuring any appreciation remains controlled and reversible if global conditions shift unexpectedly. In summary, the Vietnamese dong remains among Asia's most stable managed currencies. However, the recent adjustments signal potential entry into a new policy era, one favoring gradual strategic strengthening aligned with Vietnam's growing global influence. For investors, economists, and observers, This evolution represents an important story to follow. The months ahead may clarify whether current movements reflect a single correction or the first step in a broader monetary transformation. It's important to remember that currency movements serve as vital indicators of a nation's economic trajectory.